Hello everybody. Welcome to my millennial random commentary video. That's right, every 100 years I'll be doing this. Uh, Figured I'd start out by talking about one little thing that kind of bothers me when I watch a lot of call leagues. Mainly some of the newer ones, not some of the ones I watch so much, but some of the newer ones seem to lack variety in their calls. It's like everybody makes just what they like, and I see a ton of leagues with like just kind of the same shaggy-haired emo-looking dudes. And I'm just like, where's the fat guys? Like I have a Polish guy, and I originally wanted to make him look kind of like King Kong Bundy, but obviously the THQ series is way too restrictive for that. So they all come out kind of looking like tanks. But but it's kind of the same on either side of the spectrum, both male and female calls in leagues. Like I have calls that, in my mind at least, have fairly outstanding attires. I mean, I definitely don't think I'm the best call maker by any means, and I mean everybody has their own opinion on what makes a good call. I consider myself maybe in the higher middle, but I have some attires that I think look really good, and then other ones that I know don't look particularly good, but they're not supposed to because it's based on the character, like Ileana Corvea. For the most part, basic black outfit with a couple of red designs here and there, and obviously she's not outstanding, but she's not beautiful and she's not supposed to be. That's the character. I mean, she doesn't, not the kind that worries about her looks. And so I kind of see that on both sides. Like the male calls, I've seen so many kind of emo looking guys with random geometrical designs on their tights, all over their tights. They all look like indie guys, and I know that's the popular thing is to look like indie people, but then they all just end up looking the same. And I would really like to see a lot more variety in what people make, not just making things they think looks cool, because you're not going to think everybody looks cool. You're not supposed to. Everybody's supposed to be different and varied. Like I said, I don't see it so much in a lot of the leagues I pay attention to. It's more the ones that if somebody's coming out with a new one, I'll kind of give it a look and see what it's about, and that's more or less what I see. So anyway, I'm going to go to the questions because it'll probably be a lot more interesting, I hope. Probably not. Never mind. Forget that. Because I'm doing this. Alright. First question is from, and I have no idea how to really pronounce your online name or your real name, so I apologize. Medi. I'm guessing that's how it's pronounced. Menuo07 Adaz. Alright, her question was, how Naughty won the championship? I'm guessing you mean the first time, because before actually making Allura, I had her kind of 2 or 3 time champion. So, the last time she beat Davataki, who beat Quinn for the title. The first time in X-Gen, she beat... So there you go, that answers your question. And then Mr. JM1984, simply J, is asking what makes the Crummy Bears so crummy. Well, they're named Cracky and Stanky, so one stinks and one's on crack. Probably they both stink and are both probably on crack. Just one probably smells worse and the other one's probably does more crack. So that kind of makes them crummy. They're obviously not bouncing all over the place like gummy bears, and yeah, that's about it, I guess. Honestly. Okay, Tyler Morse asks, what is my favorite thing to do with calls? I'd say fairly obviously creating. I love creating calls. I love creating, period. So, like, I love Soul Calibur 4 for all the creation you can do, and obviously the character models look a lot better than they do in any of the wrestling games. But then you can do less. So I understand why you can't do as much with their faces and change their bodies and their faces as much. So it's a trade-off. But and that's why now occasionally I play World of Warcraft. Not that often. I've never been one of the crazy people. I can't sit in my chair for hours on end in raids and whatnot. But because of my love for character creating, I tend to character hop. So it's dangerous for me. I end up making about 15 different characters and have some crazy ambition of getting them all to max level and doing everything with them, and yeah, that never pans out. So it kind of part of why I don't play the game anymore that much, because I mean there's just way too much to do with every expansion that comes out. It's just it's overwhelming, and I just don't have time for it. Alright, so Brown Sugar Candy has a lot of questions. Number one, what are your inspirations behind some of your favorite call creations? I don't really. I can't honestly answer that for the most part. Because they all come to me in different ways. Naughty. Naughty is a character I make kind of across the board. Like, I made a version of her in Soul Calibur 4, which honestly looks closer to how I imagine she looks anyway, because she's actually a character that I use in a story I'm writing. So, in Soul Calibur 4, her face and everything looks closer to what I imagine the actual character in the story looks like. But so I just kind of create her everywhere. And she's always got kind of a rock star thing, so that's her deal. Devataki and Penny Dreadful both have sort of a backstory that kind of created who they were. Like when I first made Devataki, I was just trying to make a stable, and then eventually I came to the whole she resented Naughty for being sort of a spotlight hog. And then she kind of turned against the group and went her own way. And then I just kind of, the way with the entrance that they have in there, I just kind of start to envision her as almost like a succubus type. So that's kind of what I want to do with her outfit a bit. Still working on trying to perfect it. As there's some calls that are inspired by some of my favorite wrestlers, like the Calgary Hit Squad, are obviously inspired by Bret Hart, who's my favorite of all time. Ileana Corvée was inspired by Brian Pillman, who's another one of my favorites, and I loved his loose cannon period. And I think I have one more that's like that, but and then other ones it's just like Alien Knights. Just I got the inspiration for the outfit; it just popped in my head, so I created her, and she came out exactly as I wanted her to for the most part. I think that about does it for ones that have had I can actually trace some sort of inspiration for. Other ones I just kind of sit down and start playing with the game and seeing what I come up with. Any favorite foods? I loves me some buffalo chicken. I never ate it till about 4 years ago. I tried it. I was at Applebee's with a bunch of people, and I ordered it, and I was in love. And so now I make it at home a lot. Love pizza too, but then everybody does. But yeah, I'm obsessed with buffalo chicken. My first WWE game that I started with making calls, it was the really, really shitty, was it WWF Attitude, or there was one before that, I think. I don't remember which one came first, but it was on the PlayStation, and I loved it, and they were god-awful, and for some reason I loved doing it. And then a friend of mine introduced me to No Mercy, and I was like, forget that. I'm just gonna. I like this game. I'm gonna keep playing this. Until one time he left it there, and so I gave it a shot and fell in love with that, and never went back to those god awful PlayStation ones ever again. So let's see. Worst part about creating calls. Moveset. I hate doing the moveset. It's tedious. It's boring, and you have to sort through about 90 variations of the neck breaker. I'll be honest. With the majority of my calls, there's some of them that I'll go through and I'll do the moveset. But with the majority, I just kind of copy from other superstars or copy the preset ones and then tweak it, change taunts, change signatures and finishers and whatnot. And then occasionally, if it fits a call, like with Phaedra Devaney, the newest one I did that comes out on the bike, who's really just kind of a throwback to an older one. I just kept her with most of the Undertaker's moves because I think the last ride is fitting. I used to like entrances, but that kind of gets old. I like create an arena. If I still think there needs to be some more customization options that they're not giving. I think you need to be allowed to put a few more paint tools would be good. It's a little restrictive. But yeah, absolutely movesets are what I hate. And when it comes to making my show, I hate, number one, commentary. Despise it. And number two, I don't really enjoy doing the matches so much. I'm not as good at as some of the people who sim, like in NGC and whatnot. Undamaged Threat with Rage just does amazing matches with his, and I'm in comparison, mine are so dull, and so I'm not as good at planning out matches. So so I don't really enjoy it that much. I do the best I can. What videos or who inspired you to start uploading videos to YouTube? I have no idea. I can't think of. The same way with when I decided to make a colleague. It's like I hadn't really seen any colleagues. I just decided, a lot of people seem to like my female calls. I'd like to maybe start doing a league with them, see what I can do. I think I'd seen. The only one that springs to mind is Gold Standards League. Is a TDWF, I think. I had seen some of his stuff, and maybe that could have been an inspiration to start doing that. And then I think otherwise, I don't honestly. When I started uploading my videos, I'm sure I'd seen a few videos from somebody or another, but I can't remember honestly. So last question by her. Favorite animal? American bald eagle. I've always loved that animal. I just think it's very noble, majestic looking animal. And close second, chameleons. Freaking love chameleons. Want a chameleon bad. I won't buy one now because I don't live close enough to a pet store to get food all the time, and they're very hard to take care of. But you gotta love them. They have eyes that go in two separate directions, opposable thumbs, and they look really, really nervous all the time, which I think is hilarious. Let's see. So last question, and I could probably talk on this one for a little bit, is Eddie Mac from CCLS. Why hasn't WWE given me a call to improve their Divas division? And that's a great question. I don't know why. I'd have to say, first and foremost, is because they have no idea who I am, probably. I'm sure they don't ever watch anything call related. I'd have to say that's probably the best reason. Honestly, if I was in charge of their division at any time frame between, the 80s and now, it would be completely overhauled. I don't think they've ever done a really good job, ever. I know people think the Attitude Era was like the heyday of the women's division, and in comparison to today and before that, I might have to agree. Only because, aside from the fact that Cyndi Lauper came in the 80s, so they gave a little push to the whole Wendy Richter and Moolah thing, they didn't care about the women's division then. You had, between the 80s and the Attitude Era, you had maybe, 5 women on the roster at a time. For me, my first real introduction to women's wrestling, aside from that god-awful Glow Wrestling, was Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano, which I thought they were incredible. I loved watching them. I thought they were putting on better matches than most of the men in the WWF at the time. So I love them. Today is pretty much shit. Although I will say, even though they're missing depth in the roster, the talent overall right now is probably better than it was, say, 3-4 years ago. Because most of the ones on the roster now are pretty decent wrestlers, whereas 3 or 4 years ago you had Kelly. Can't stand her. I celebrated the day she left. Marie, well, some of them I actually liked, even if they weren't the best. I liked Maurice, because I thought she had a funny personality. I don't care for the Bellas. I don't care if they've improved in the ring or what. I don't care for them. Like, the Bellas and Eve, for me, had what you hear, X-Pac heat. That was them for me. I just couldn't stand the sight of them. I thought Eve was so bland. I just don't like the Bellas. But Caitlin's good. I love AJ. You got Tamina, Natty, who, unfortunately they misuse like crazy. But Layla, I love when she's a heel because she's so damn funny. But she is horrible as a face. She's like Randy Orton. It's like as a heel, great. As a face, god awful. But yeah, in the Attitude Era, you had a lot of good wrestlers, but honestly, the majority of the women's wrestling was all bra and panties matches and gravy bowl matches, and I just didn't care for that shit. I'm like, if you want to show me boobs, I'll just go look at boobs. I don't care about seeing women throwing each other around in gravy in their underwear. It doesn't do anything for me. I'd just rather watch good wrestlers wrestle. To me, see, this is the thing. People hold Trish Stratus and Lita up on a pedestal and say, oh, they're the greatest of all time. Okay. They talk about all these other women who botch moves. I've seen Lita and Trish both botch a billion moves. Trish, when she first started wrestling, I was like, why? She improved. I have respect for her. She improved a lot. She had more personality than pretty much any woman that's come through. Lita, be honest, the only reason people love Lita is because she showed her thong and she can do a flying head scissors and a moonsault. Whoopity-doo. She had no personality. She was perfect with the Hardy Boys because they were all vacuums of personality. Matt had the most. But Jeff, yeah, he's fun to watch and he's a little different style, but it's the same boat. You don't want to hear him on a microphone. I don't know if he's improved in TNA, but before that, it hurt my ears. Lita was like listening to a younger Linda McMahon to me. She was so bland. So I don't hold her on that pedestal. I like Lita. I mean, I have no problem. I enjoy Lita, but I don't think she's as great as people make her out to be. To me at the time, the best in my eyes was Victoria. I loved Victoria, especially when she was doing the crazy routine coming out to all the things you said. That was personality. And I think that's what is missing, and it'll never be there. I mean, they don't care enough, and they never will. But give me women who can wrestle, who have distinct personalities. I mean, that's what I want. The same treatment you gave, the rest of the division. Well, that you used to give the rest of the division, because now pretty much 90% of the entire roster is incredibly bland. You have your standouts, but it's not like it used to be. Everybody is I don't know, I'm tough and I'm going to beat you, and that's all they have. But yeah, if you took MMA fighters, the female MMA fighters, and put them into that situation, you'd probably see much better personality. And obviously they can go. And going back to the former roster, I will say one thing. There's one person who I love to watch that everybody insulted and said was awful because she botched. I watched Gail Kim, the savior of TNA's women's division. When she first came back to WWE, she was botching all over the place, so I don't care. I like Gail Kim. But to me, I loved watching Michelle McCool wrestle because Michelle McCool could go. I mean, when she got in there, she was a wrestler. She didn't look like I hate watching the women run the ropes or punch each other because it looks so dainty and like there's no way that hurts. But Michelle McCool, she went hard and I loved it. So I have a lot of respect for her, and I thought she was really good. I mean, her southern nasal twang may have been a little annoying, but I liked Michelle McCool, and I think she deserves a bit more respect because yeah, she could really go. Uh, so yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd say my four favorite women of all time in the WWE would be Michelle McCool, Victoria, Bull Nakano, and Alundra Blaze. Uh, so yeah, if I was in charge, I would definitely overhaul it. And I mean, that's kind of the premise I have with Allure in the first place. Where is that the X Gen was like the WWE, say 4 years ago when you had Eve and Kelly Kelly and the Bellas and all that. And then you have a few good wrestlers like I have Destiny Williams as kind of like Beth Phoenix, not in look, but I mean the fact that she can actually wrestle. And that's what I would actually do if I was in charge. Is I would have fired a lot of people and went out and actually found real women's talent, women in the indies who have personality, who are actually really good in the ring, and that's all I really want to see. I mean, I don't think it's that hard of a thing to do. I honestly feel that you could find a woman who has a great personality, funny. I mean, can do it all as far as if she was on the mic. Train her to be one of the best wrestlers, and I have no doubt that you can make them one of the top names in the company. I mean, I could be wrong. You'll never know because that test will never be done. But I honestly think that you could take a woman and make her, if not as big, I mean close to as big and important to the company as, say, John Cena. So that's kind of the premise behind Allure to me anyway, and I'm still working on doing a fake documentary where that's actually part of the storyline that led to Allure. That's the last question, so I guess I am done. Hopefully it wasn't too boring, because I have no problem being the center of attention, but when I have to put myself there, I fall apart. Fun. So, anyway, alright, I will see you all in 100 years.